I woke up from a coma and heard my husband on the phone, and what he said made me decide to fake my own death. The first thing I noticed was the smell, disinfectant mixed with something metallic. Then the sounds, a rhythmic beeping that seemed to sync with the pulsing pain behind my eyes. My body felt heavy, like I was wrapped in wet concrete. I tried to open my eyes, but my eyelids refused to cooperate. Where was I? The memories came in fragments. Headlights, the screech of tires, glass shattering, then nothing. Just an endless, dark nothing that had swallowed 3 weeks of my life. I heard footsteps in the hallway, rubber soles squeaking against linoleum, a door opening somewhere close. The beeping intensified. Or maybe I was just becoming more aware of it. My throat felt like sandpaper. I wanted water. I wanted to call out. But my body was a stranger to me, unresponsive and foreign. Then I heard his voice. My husband, Marcus. Relief tried to flood through me, but something in his tone stopped it cold. He was talking on the phone, just outside my room. His voice was low, meant to be private, but the hospital hallway carried it directly to me. "Yeah, I'm still here, at the hospital," he said. There was a pause. No change. The doctors say it could be any day now, or it could be never. They don't really know. I wanted to call out to him, to let him know I was awake, that I had come back, but something made me wait. Maybe it was the flatness in his voice, the absence of worry or grief. "Look, Jennifer, I know this is hard on you too," he continued. Jennifer. My mind scrambled. Jennifer who? I miss you. God, I miss you so much. This whole thing has been a nightmare, but we're almost through it. The beeping monitor seemed louder now, or maybe that was just my heart, trying to break through my ribs. "The insurance pays out $600,000 if she doesn't make it," Marcus said, his voice dropping even lower. "The house is in both our names, but I can sell it. We talked about San Diego, remember? You, me, and the kids could start fresh there. Nobody would know us. Nobody would judge. The kids. Jennifer's kids. Not our kids. We never had children. I had wanted them, but Marcus always said we should wait. Wait for what? I never really understood. Now I did. I need to go back in there," he said after another pause. "Keep up appearances, you know. Her sister's been asking questions. I have to play the devastated husband for a little longer." Play. The word echoed in my head. All of it was a play, a performance. And I was supposed to be the corpse that made his next act possible. I heard him end the call. His footsteps approached my room. Every muscle in my body tensed, but I forced myself to remain still. The door opened. I kept my breathing steady, shallow, just like it had been in whatever dark place I had spent the last 3 weeks. "Hey, baby," Marcus said softly. His hand touched mine. It was warm. Once upon a time, that warmth had meant safety. Now it felt like a threat. "I'm here. I'm still here. Liar," I thought. But I didn't move, didn't twitch, didn't give him any sign that I had heard everything, that I knew everything. He sat in the chair beside my bed. I could hear him scrolling on his phone, probably texting Jennifer, making plans for San Diego, for my life insurance money. For the future they would build on my grave. The rage inside me was cold, so cold it felt like clarity, like purpose. I had always been the type to see the best in people, to give second chances, to believe in love and commitment and the vows we had spoken 7 years ago. But lying there, pretending to be unconscious while my husband planned my permanent exit, something fundamental shifted inside me. If he wanted me dead, then dead is exactly what he would get, but not the way he planned, not in a way that would give him Jennifer, $600,000, and a fresh start in San Diego. No, he would get something very different. A doctor came in about an hour later. Dr. Stevens, I would later learn. She checked my vitals, made some notes. Marcus asked her questions in that concerned husband voice. She gave him non-answers, the kind doctors give when they genuinely don't know what will happen. When she left, Marcus sighed deeply. I heard him stand up, stretch. He walked to the window. "Come on," he muttered, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "Just let go already." That's when I knew I couldn't trust anyone with the truth. Not yet. Not until I understood exactly what I was dealing with. Not until I had a plan of my own. So when Dr. Stevens came back 20 minutes later for another check, and my eyes suddenly fluttered open, Marcus was the perfect picture of a grateful, relieved husband. He called my name. He held my hand. He even had tears in his eyes, and I looked at him, my throat too dry to speak, and I gave him the smallest smile, because he needed to believe I suspected nothing. He needed to think I was weak, vulnerable, dependent on him. He needed to believe he was still in control, but I had heard everything, and now the real game was about to begin. The doctors called it a miracle. I called it strategy. They kept me in the hospital for 5 more days. 5 days of tests, physical therapy, concerned faces hovering over me asking if I remembered what happened. I told them the truth about the accident. I told them about the confusion, the gaps in my memory. What I didn't tell them was that my memory was perfectly intact, including every word of that phone conversation. Marcus was there every day, the devoted husband. He brought me flowers on day 3, daisies. I used to love daisies. I stared at them for a long time, and he must have thought I was touched by the gesture. Really, I was wondering if Jennifer liked daisies too, if maybe he had bought 2 bouquets. My sister came to visit on day 4. Claire burst into tears the moment she saw me sitting up in bed. She held me like I might disappear if she let go. Over her shoulder, I watched Marcus watching us. There was something in his eyes. Calculation. Like he was measuring how much my family would interfere with whatever timeline he had planned. "We thought we lost you," Claire whispered. "The doctor said the injuries were so severe that even if you woke up, you might not be you anymore." "I'm still me," I told her. And I was. Just a different version. A colder version. When Claire left, Marcus helped me back into bed. His hands were gentle, practiced. I wondered how many times he had touched Jennifer with those same hands while I was in the coma, while he was waiting for me to die. "Your sister really loves you," he said. "She's all I have," I replied, watching his face carefully. "Besides you," he smiled, kissed my forehead. "You'll always have me." The lie tasted like hospital air, sterile and artificial. They discharged me on a Tuesday. Marcus pulled our Honda Accord up to the hospital entrance. A nurse wheeled me out in a wheelchair, even though I could walk. "Hospital policy," she said cheerfully. I sat there, hands folded in my lap, watching Marcus load my things into the trunk. The drive home was quiet. He asked how I felt. I said tired. He said that was normal. Everything about this moment looked normal. A husband bringing his recovering wife home from the hospital. But I saw the tension in his jaw, the way he gripped the steering wheel just a little too tight. Our house looked exactly as I remembered it. A modest 2-story colonial in a neighborhood full of families and dogs and people who waved when they mowed their lawns. We had bought it 4 years ago, talking about the kids we would have, the life we would build. Now those conversations felt like scenes from someone else's marriage. Marcus helped me inside, his arm around my waist. I leaned on him because that's what he expected. The living room still had the same gray couch, the same throw pillows I had agonized over at Home Goods. Everything in its place, but I was seeing it differently now, like evidence at a crime scene. "I'll make you some tea," Marcus said, guiding me to the couch. "You should rest." I nodded, watched him disappear into the kitchen. The moment I heard the water running, I looked around. Really looked. The mail was stacked neatly on the coffee table. I reached for it with trembling hands, fingers still weak from 3 weeks of disuse. Bills, catalogs, and underneath, a credit card statement. I shouldn't have opened it. It wasn't addressed to me, but I did. Dinner at Maggiano's, $240. Date, 2 weeks after my accident. Hotel reservation in the city. 1 night, $360. Same week. Jewelry purchase at Kay's, $800, 4 days ago. My hands weren't trembling anymore. Marcus came back with chamomile tea in my favorite mug, the one that said, "Nevertheless," she persisted. He had given it to me on our anniversary. The irony wasn't lost on me now. "Here you go, baby," he said, sitting beside me. Close. Too close. "I'm so glad you're home. I missed you so much." I took a sip of tea. It was too hot, but I didn't react. Just lowered the mug slowly. "Did anyone visit while I was gone?" Something flickered across his face. "Visit?" "The house. Did anyone stop by? Friends? Neighbors?" "Oh, yeah, a few people. Mrs. Chen from next door brought a casserole. Some of the guys from work checked in." He paused. "Why?" "Just wondering if the house felt empty." I kept my voice soft, fragile. "I hate thinking of you here alone." His shoulders relaxed. It was hard, but I managed, with Jennifer. in our bed, probably planning their San Diego dream while I was fighting for my life. Over the next few days, I established a routine. I moved slowly through the house, weak, recovering, needing rest. Marcus went back to work on Thursday, apologetic but necessary. Someone had to maintain the income, he said. Someone had to keep things stable. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I started searching. I found her perfume in his car. A bottle of Chanel rolled under the passenger seat. I had never worn Chanel, too expensive, but apparently Jennifer was worth it. I found text messages he had forgotten to delete, threads going back 6 months, maybe longer, pet names, plans, promises, and complaints about me, about my weight, my insecurities, my devotion, all the things he had once said he loved about me, now weaponized into reasons I was inadequate. One message stopped me cold. Jennifer, what if she wakes up? Marcus, then we wait. But the doctors aren't optimistic. And even if she does, she won't be the same. Brain injuries like that, she'll be dependent on me. Maybe that's even better. Easier to manage until we can figure something else out. I sat on our bedroom floor, his phone in my hand, and felt something break inside me. Not my heart. That had already shattered in the hospital. This was something else. Something that sounded like resolve. I took photos of everything. Every message. Every receipt. Every piece of evidence that proved what he was. I used my old iPad, the one he didn't know I still had the password to. I backed everything up to a cloud account he didn't know existed. When Marcus came home that evening, I was back on the couch. Weak. Tired. Grateful for his presence. "How was your day?" he asked, kissing the top of my head. "Quiet," I said. "I mostly slept." He smiled. Relieved. "That's good. You need rest." That night, lying beside him in our bed, I stared at the ceiling. He fell asleep quickly, one arm draped across my waist, possessive even in sleep, or maybe just making sure I was still there, still under his control. But I wasn't. Not anymore. I was wide awake, planning, calculating, becoming someone he would never see coming, and he had no idea that the woman lying beside him was already dead, at least the version of me he thought he knew. She died in that hospital room, listening to him plan my funeral. What was left was someone else entirely, someone patient, someone cold, someone who would make sure he got exactly what he deserved. I met the lawyer on a Thursday afternoon, while Marcus thought I was at a follow-up appointment with my neurologist. I wasn't. His name was David Chen, and his office was in a strip mall 40 minutes from our neighborhood, far enough that no one we knew would see me walk in. I had found him through a private online search, reading reviews from women who had been through what I was about to do, women who had needed to disappear strategically, legally, and permanently. "Mrs. Harrison," he said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. The office was small but organized. Diplomas on the wall, family photos facing him, not me, professional distance. "You mentioned on the phone that you needed to discuss some sensitive matters regarding your marriage." I placed the folder on his desk. 3 weeks of evidence. Printed messages, bank statements, photos of receipts, the credit card charges for hotels and jewelry that weren't for me. Everything documented, dated, organized. He opened it, started reading. His expression never changed, but I saw his jaw tighten. "How long has this been going on?" he asked. "At least 6 months, maybe longer." My voice was steady. I had practiced this. "But that's not why I'm here." He looked up. "I need to understand something," I continued. "If I were to die, what happens to my assets? The house, my retirement account, the life insurance policy?" David leaned back in his chair. "In most cases, if you're married and have no will specifying otherwise, everything goes to your spouse, including life insurance policies where he's the beneficiary. And if I file for divorce before I die, then we'd be looking at asset division. Texas is a community property state, so generally it's split 50-50. But with evidence of infidelity and financial misconduct, we could argue for a more favorable division." He paused. "Are you planning something, Mrs. Harrison?" I met his eyes. "I'm planning to not let my husband profit from wishing me dead." Over the next hour, I told him everything. The conversation I had overheard in the hospital, the plans for San Diego, Jennifer and her kids, the way Marcus had looked at me these past weeks, like I was an obstacle instead of a wife. "I want to file for divorce," I said, "but I don't want him to know until it's too late for him to hide assets or change anything." And I want to make sure that if anything actually happens to me, he gets nothing. David made notes, asked questions. Then he said something I hadn't expected. There's another option. It's unconventional, but given what you've told me, it might serve your purposes better. I leaned forward. We create a living trust. Transfer your assets into it. Change the beneficiaries on your life insurance. File all the divorce paperwork, but hold it, sealed, ready to be filed the moment you give the word. And then, he paused, you could give him exactly what he's been waiting for. A funeral, I said slowly. A funeral, David confirmed. After which, you reappear very much alive, the divorce papers are filed simultaneously, and he's left with nothing. No money, no assets, and potentially facing insurance fraud charges if he tries to claim anything. It was perfect, cold, precise. Exactly what he deserved. If you're following this story and want to see how all of this ends, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Hit that like button if you're rooting for me, and drop a comment below telling me what you would do in my situation. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this plays out. The next 2 weeks became a careful choreography of deception. Marcus went to work. I went to physical therapy. Except on Tuesdays and Thursdays, when physical therapy was actually the bank, the lawyer's office, and a storage unit I had rented under my maiden name. I moved things slowly. Personal items, documents, photos from my childhood, my mother's jewelry, things Marcus wouldn't notice missing because he had never paid attention to them anyway. Each box I packed felt like shedding skin, preparing for a resurrection. Claire was the only person I told. Not everything, just enough. We met at a coffee shop in her neighborhood. She took one look at my face and knew something had changed. What happened? She asked. I told her about the phone call, about Jennifer, about the life insurance in San Diego, and the way Marcus had said, just let go already. Like I was a burden he was tired of carrying. Claire's hand covered her mouth. Oh my God, I'm going to kill him. No, I said firmly. I am. I explained the plan, the trust, the divorce papers ready to file, the staged death that would expose him for exactly what he was. Claire listened, her coffee growing cold, her eyes growing wider. This is insane, she whispered. This is justice, I corrected. When? Soon. 2 weeks, maybe 3. I need to tie up some loose ends. She reached across the table, grabbed my hand. What do you need from me? Be surprised, be devastated, and when the time comes, be ready to back me up. That night, Marcus came home with takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant. He had been doing things like this lately. Small gestures, thoughtful touches. I wondered if Jennifer had told him to try harder, to keep me convinced that he cared. We ate on the couch, watching some crime show on Netflix. The irony wasn't lost on me. The detective on screen was talking about how criminals always make mistakes, how they get overconfident and sloppy. Do you ever think about what you would do if you could start over? I asked during a commercial break. Marcus looked at me, surprised. What do you mean? Just like, if you could go anywhere, be anyone, what would you choose? He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Probably about San Diego, about Jennifer and her kids and the beach house he'd been looking at online when he thought I was asleep. I don't know, he said finally. I think I'm pretty happy where I am. The lie sat between us like a third person on the couch. Me too, I said, smiling. I'm grateful for everything we have. He kissed my temple. I love you. I know, I replied. Because I did know. I knew exactly how much that love was worth. $600,000, minus the cost of my funeral. Later that week, I had a scare. I came home from an actual doctor's appointment to find Marcus in our bedroom, standing by my dresser. My heart stopped. Had I left something out? Some piece of evidence? Hey, he said, turning. He was holding something. I was looking for the insurance papers. For the car. Have you seen them? Should be in the filing cabinet, I said, keeping my voice normal. In the office. Right. Yeah. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. How was the doctor? Good. She says I'm healing well. Remarkably well, actually. Something passed over his face. Disappointment? Frustration? It was gone before I could name it. That's great, baby. That's really great. But the way he said it made my blood run cold. Because in that moment, I realized something. He was running out of time. Whatever timeline he had planned with Jennifer, my recovery was disrupting it. And a desperate man is a dangerous man. I needed to move faster. That night, I sent David Chen an email. 3 words. I'm ready. Start. The wheels were in motion. Marcus wanted me dead. So dead is exactly what he was going to get. Just not the way he imagined. The death certificate said cardiac arrest. Complications from the traumatic brain injury. My body, the doctors explained to Marcus, had simply given up after fighting for so long. I know this because I watched him receive the news. Not in person. Through the hospital security camera footage that Dr. Stevens helped me access. She was the only medical professional I had trusted with the truth. A woman who had seen too many cases of suspected abuse. Too many convenient deaths of inconvenient wives. Marcus's reaction was perfect. He crumpled. He wept. He asked if there was anything they could have done. The performance of a lifetime. And I watched it from a hotel room 30 miles away. My legally dead body very much alive. Sitting on a bed, eating Chinese takeout. The funeral was scheduled for Saturday, 3 days after my supposed death. Barrington Funeral Home, the same place where we had buried my mother 4 years ago. Marcus picked out a beautiful mahogany casket. Expensive. He spared no expense for his beloved wife, especially since the life insurance was about to pay for it 600,000 times over. I didn't go to my own funeral. That would have been too theatrical, too dramatic. This wasn't about drama. It was about documentation. Instead, I sent David Chen, and Claire, and a private investigator with 3 hidden cameras. The funeral home was wired for sound and video. Every tear, every condolence, every lie captured in high definition. Claire told me later that Jennifer was there, sitting in the back, wearing dark sunglasses, playing the role of concerned family friend. She brought her 2 kids. They looked bored. Marcus looked broken. The service was lovely, apparently. Marcus gave a eulogy about our love story, about how I was his everything, how he would never recover from this loss. Several people cried. Mrs. Chen from next door brought a casserole to the reception after, the same casserole she had brought to the house after my accident. What Marcus didn't know was that during the funeral, while he was performing grief, David Chen was filing divorce papers at the county courthouse. Papers that included every text message, every bank statement, every piece of evidence of his affair and his plans. Papers that immediately froze all joint accounts and assets. What Marcus also didn't know was that the life insurance company had received an anonymous tip about potential fraud, along with documentation that the beneficiary had been changed 2 weeks before my death. Changed to my sister, Claire, along with a recording of his hospital phone conversation, anonymously sent from an encrypted email. The bomb didn't drop until Monday morning. Marcus was probably still in bed, probably texting Jennifer about when they could finally be together openly, maybe already looking at flights to San Diego. The knock on the door came at 8:15. Police, insurance investigators, and David Chen, holding a folder that contained the end of everything Marcus had planned. I wasn't there for that either, but Claire was. I had asked her to go to the house that morning, to pick up some of my things that Marcus was supposed to box up for her. She needed to be there, to witness it, to be my eyes. She called me from her car, parked down the street, her voice shaking. "They're arresting him," she said. "Insurance fraud, attempted fraud. They're reading him his rights. Oh my God, there are neighbors everywhere. Is Jennifer there?" I asked. "Her car just pulled up. She's getting out. She looks confused. Wait, they're talking to her too. One of the investigators is showing her something. Papers. She's crying. She's getting back in her car. She's leaving." I closed my eyes, breathed. "It's done," I said. "When are you coming back?" "I'm not. Not to that house. Not to that life." The legal aftermath took weeks. Marcus tried to claim he knew nothing about the affair being serious, that he had never actually planned to claim the life insurance fraudulently, that the conversations had been taken out of context. But the evidence was overwhelming. Text messages don't lie. Bank records don't lie. And a man who talks about his wife's death like a business transaction doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. The divorce was finalized in my absence. I signed papers from a lawyer's office in Austin, where I had taken a short-term rental. Everything was split, but with the evidence of infidelity and financial misconduct, I walked away with more than half. The house, most of the savings, my dignity. Marcus lost his job. Word spread quickly in our small professional community. The man who had tried to cash in on his wife's death. The man who had an affair while she was in a coma. People don't forget things like that. Jennifer left him. Apparently being with a man who tried to profit from his wife's death wasn't quite the romantic, fresh start she had imagined. I saw him once more, not intentionally. I had come back to town 6 months later to sign the final papers on the house sale. I was in a Starbucks near the lawyer's office when he walked in. He looked different, thinner, older, defeated. He didn't see me at first. I was wearing my hair different, glasses I didn't used to wear. I had lost weight during the stress of everything, and I carried myself differently now. Stronger, more certain. But then his eyes found mine across the coffee shop. Recognition hit him like a physical blow. His face went white. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I picked up my coffee, walked past him, didn't say a word. What was there to say? He had wanted me dead. I had given him that, and then I had taken everything else. That's the thing about getting what you wish for. Sometimes it comes true in ways you never imagined. I live in Colorado now, a small mountain town where nobody knows my story. I got a job at a nonprofit that helps women escape difficult situations. Turns out, surviving your own death makes you pretty good at helping others navigate impossible circumstances. Claire visits once a month. We hike. We talk. We never mention Marcus unless it's to laugh about how badly his plan backfired. Sometimes people ask me if I regret it. The elaborate scheme, the fake death, the legal warfare. They ask if maybe I should have just filed for divorce like a normal person. I tell them there's nothing normal about hearing your husband plan your funeral while you're still alive. There's nothing normal about being worth more dead than alive to the person who promised to love you forever. What I did wasn't revenge. Revenge is emotional, hot, chaotic. What I did was justice. Cold, calculated, permanent. Marcus wanted me gone so he could start over with someone else and my life insurance money. Instead, he lost everything. His wife, his girlfriend, his job, his reputation, his future, and me. I got something better than revenge. I got free. I got to decide who I would be after betrayal. I got to choose strength over victimhood. I got to prove that being underestimated is sometimes the greatest advantage. So no, I don't regret it. Not for a second. Because the best part about faking your own death isn't the dramatic reveal. It's not watching your enemies fall. It's not even the legal victory. The best part is standing in a coffee shop in a town where nobody knows your name, looking at the man who wanted you dead, and realizing you feel absolutely nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction. Just peace. And that's worth more than $600,000 could ever buy.